look forward to. In the meantime, to Bishop Wilton, down Pocklington Way, for a story of sound success. The mid-morning show has been to a small recording studio that attracts business from all over the country. So next time you're watching a special video presentation, it might just have been recorded down the road. Simon Patton has been to see the studios in action and also to sit in the same chair as the likes of Sir Harry Seacombe, Bernard Cribbins and Judi Dench, a seat from which rich, deep voices emanate.
In 1848, the Americans also imported some Angora goats from Turkey, and others were later brought from South Africa to provide the basis of the mohair industry.
I'm sure we've all heard CJ's famous saying, I didn't get where I am today without knowing that half of my advertising was wasted. The problem is that I don't know which half.
The book fired his imagination, and Ignacio, still limping, set out as a pilgrim to fulfill his new ideas.
Like Elvington on the River Darwen, supplying water to Leeds.
Freddie Truman, Judi Dench, just some of the famous voices that have visited the small recording studios in Bishop Wilton. For many famous names have been to Pollen recording studios that was set up over a decade ago by Dick Sefton. But for Dick himself, it came as something of a change from the career in which he'd trained, a career to be a teacher.
Part of my course had been audiovisual aids in schools, and at that time, teaching really wasn't very well paid, and I think it still isn't. But I decided that I would try and sell the skills of communication to business. And luckily, after a struggle for a few years, things worked out quite well. We went from strength to strength.
Now, early one April morning, Chanticleer awoke from a nightmare in which he was being chased by a reddish beast much like a dog. When the pretty Pertelote heard of this, she cried out, "Shame on you, faint heart! Heavens above, be a man! There's nothing got..."
Over the countryside, beseeching women young and old, tell me, please, to save my life, what is it a woman most desires? They couldn't get two answers the same. There were as many answers as there were.
All right then, assembled company. Oh, blimey, what a lot. Come on. Let's go.
Bernard Cribbins, just another of the famous voices. Well, next month, Sir Alec Guinness will add his name to the ever-growing list. He'll be spending some time recording a taped story for a museum in Oxford, based very much on York's highly successful Jorvik Centre. So work goes on at the Pollen recording studios, and for its owner Dick Sefton, it's now a time for recalling stories of the setting up of the studios, setting up complex sound booths for artists to record in. But unfortunately, not everybody understood what was needed.
We had a problem in the design of a room which is ideal for recording sounds in, is that none of the walls should be parallel. This is because of the echo effect of ping-ponging of sound between parallel walls. And I remember going along to the builder with this plan which had none of the walls parallel, and in which the floor didn't touch the walls and the ceiling didn't touch the walls. And the poor old guy just scratched his head and said, "No way, lad, no way, lad." And unfortunately, at the end of the day, although we kept quite a lot of the constraints of sound insulation, the studio is a square room.
Having got round that little problem, Dick now uses his studio to produce very complicated pieces of music. For instance, this uses only real recordings of real telephones. Taking the original recordings of the telephone and then sampling them through a computer is how Dick arrives with that tune, Lady Madonna.
Sounds are perfect for computers to handle because sound is mathematically perfect, and so are computers. On this machine here, you can see on the screen at the moment, it's given us a lot of options. One of them on there being sound sample. If I press a key on here, the floppy disk will run up a program that's set in here, which will enable us to record via a microphone into the memory of the computer any sound we care to put into it, either from disk or from microphone, off tape. It's asking me another thing here, sample. by pressing a key on the computer and by using the microphone, we can record a sound into the memory of the computer. So if I press that there,
Radio York.
the bits of numbers that make up the word Radio York are in the memory of the computer. And if we go over onto this musical keyboard now, if we press that key there,
Radio York.
Radio York.
Radio York. Radio York.
Radio
Radio Radio Radio Radio Radio
Radio. Just a little example of what this computer will do, but how's it used in real life?
we had one client who was a turkey manufacturer in Driffield who was had this idea that he wanted his product, which is the frozen turkey, and they had this competition whereby inside the turkey would be a cassette, and on the cassette would be a turkey that would sing Christmas carols. It's a nice idea, really. But, anyway, so we in fact did this. We sampled the sound of a turkey, and we already had in the computer memory Christmas carols, and if you listen to this, you'll be able to hear what we came up with at that particular time.
And so now, if you're ever in Bishop Wilton and you hear peculiar noises, you'll know a little more about what's happening.
Lovely Simon Patton being squeezed into computer digits, processed and then spat out at a high rate of bits, courtesy of Pollen recording studios in Bishop Wilton. And our thanks to Dick Sefton. It's 21 minutes past 9 o'clock on the New Look mid-morning show.